Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WZWA Network podcast. I am your host with the most on the West Coast, California in Fury. It is great to be with you once again. And I have to tell you guys, I'm very excited about the guest that I have here for you. And it's for many reasons. And one of them is I love the backstage stuff. I love learning about every little intricate thing that people do and have done in their time in professional wrestling. And I'm just so excited to do a deep dive on this person's career. And without any further ado, I must introduce the wonderful, the intelligent, the absolutely passionate, the most beautiful, one and only, Christine Johnson. Christine, how are you going?
Yeah. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Love your hairstyle.
Good.
Very cool. Very cool.
Why, thank you. That's why one of my new haircuts, the many faces of Christine, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, I had hair in the picture that's in there, but I'm actually.
Yes, you did.
I shaved my head. So.
Wow.
I'm now a bald man. So.
That's extreme. My brother is too. So.
But I always have to comment on people's hair when I see hair that I'm jealous of, and I wish I had to do like that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll let my hairstylist know.
So Christine, welcome to the show. I'm obviously a massive fan of World Championship Wrestling. Had the chance to talk to Guy Evans, who wrote the Nitro book, had the chance to talk to Neil Pruitt and many other WCW talent, likes of Scott Hudson, etc. So this is exciting for me. And the first question I wanted to ask you was, when you were a young lady growing up, high school, college, were you a fan of wrestling? Did you watch it on TV?
No, not at all. I actually, when I was in college, I went to college at Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. And my roommate, Kathy, would turn wrestling on. I'm like, I don't even remember. It was on TBS on Saturday or Sunday. And I would tell her, I said, if you think we are watching this, something is massively wrong with you. So when I called and told her I got the job with WWF at that point, she laughed for 20 minutes straight. I couldn't get her to stop laughing on the phone. So I didn't even know who Hulk Hogan was.
Oh, wow. You were that disconnected from it. That's interesting. That's really interesting when you think about it now. So Neil Pruitt was the same. He said he was not a wrestling fan before he got involved. But at that stage of your life, when you're in college and all that, what was it that your goal was in life? What did you want to be when you grew up, I suppose?
Oh, wow. Well, so I went in to major in broadcast journalism, which I absolutely hated. I thought it was just so boring and it was like too factual. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. So I ended up going to, I went downstairs, which was where radio, TV, film was. So I went down there and man, a glass of wine. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here. I can't have a glass of wine. Oh, well.
Well, it's 11 o'clock here. So, it's.
Yeah, I know. So I went down and I majored in radio, TV, film and got my degree in that. And that was pretty much it. I gave myself a year when I got out of college to find a job in TV production. My dad was pushing for me to go into advertising, which I thought was like the worst thing in the world to go into, which maybe I should have gone into that. I don't know. And so anyway, probably about 6 months, I was PAing for commercials in New York City. And I got a call from an agency saying, there was a PA job open at a production assistant, for those of you who don't know, open at WWE or WWF at that time. And I didn't even know what that was. I was like, okay. And so they interviewed me. Yeah. So they interviewed me and they said, this is kind of rough. And I said, look, I have two brothers that are hockey goalies. It can't be any worse than that. And it was, definitely. So it definitely was.
Right. So who did you interview with when you went for that?
I interviewed with the HR guy, which I can't remember his name right now. I believe I interviewed with Kevin Dunn and Larry Rosen because I was the PA for Edit One. So if anybody knows what that is. So I was the PA for that. And I was hired in November in the middle of a snowstorm. So, I got in doing that and started traveling with worked there for 4 years and then took a year off and then went and worked for WCW for 10. So,
wow. Like, I've heard Vince Russo, he had said that you were the first ever female producer in wrestling. Is that true?
In WCW, yeah.
In WCW, okay.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I might have been at WWF now that I think about it. I mean, I was doing international because I'm fluent in French. So they were looking for somebody who spoke French because we did a lot of business with Montreal with, it's RDS. I think it was something like that. So I did a lot of voiceovers with Raymond Rougeau and stuff like, and Miguel and Pedro, stuff like that. So it was kind of cool. I picked up Spanish a little bit. I could understand what they were saying and speak back to them in English. So that was fun. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how was your experience in the WWF at the time? And what were your interactions like with one Vince McMahon?
He told me I made the worst coffee he ever tasted. So he would come in and do voiceovers and edit one. So I worked with him like on a weekly basis. And I was, when you're a PA, you make coffee, you shuttle people back and forth to the hotel, and you get food for people and all that kind of fun stuff. So, Vince knew who I was. I think if I bumped into him today, he wouldn't know me from a bowling ball. So, who knows? But Vince, when I worked there, he knew my name and told me I made the worst coffee he ever tasted. So, that's, I don't drink coffee. I'm like a tea drinker here. So, yeah. So nice. But my coffee making skills have gotten better over the years. So
I should hope so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty wild to be in a company like the WWF at the time. One question that I had for a little bit later on, I think I might just throw in now, was wrestling, especially during that time period, is such a boys' club. A lot of men involved in the wrestling industry at that time. And as far as the ladies were concerned, at least on television, there would only be a few ladies that actually performed on television. But how did you find the experience of being surrounded by a bunch of men all day in their underwear, pretty much?
Yeah, they were in their underwear pretty much. Actually, oh gosh. That's kind of a mixed bag right there. So let's say it wasn't something like I noticed because I grew up with two brothers and all my friends in high school were guys. So that wasn't something I was like, oh my God, I'm working with a bunch of men and I'm the only woman. That wasn't like that until people would point it out to me and I'd be like, oh, but as far as the I don't know. I mean, it was difficult. I mean, I think I've been called every name in the book. I can tell you I've been called every name in the book, to my face, behind my back, over the intercom system, whatever. So that was a little difficult. It was just different. WWF compared to WCW, it's like comparing apples and oranges, because WWF was, had a very strict policy about, talking to the talent, like hanging out with the talent, that kind of stuff. Like that was very much frowned upon, and you did not do that. So, where Fair WCW enough. Was like, hey, let's have a big party. So,
right.
To be honest.
Well, that's pretty cool though. So I guess you're one of the boys kind of thing, having male friends in school, having your brothers there.
Sure.
You're used to dealing with boys all the time, so how annoying that they can be.
Yes, but I didn't know how annoying they could be. So, So.
Did you ever find that there will be some people, and you don't have to name names or anything, but some people that might not take what you have to say on board simply because you're a lady?
Yes, Absolutely. Still to this day. I mean, I helped out somebody recently with an indie show, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Everybody, the entire crew, once again, male. This has not changed really that much. And I was the one that ended up directing it as well as producing it because nobody had ever shot wrestling. And I just, I did it kind of on a whim, which I probably shouldn't have done, but they didn't want to listen to me at all. They were like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, blah, 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 blah. And then once the show got started, then they were like, oh, holy shit,
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it felt good to do that, but I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't do an indie show again anyway, but I do miss wrestling now. I would do that again. So, but it's, it's a different mindset. It's very, and I'm sure that the guys I work with are like, oh, whatever, Christine, if they even listen to this now, they still would be like that. So it was different. And it was an uphill battle all the time.
Right.
So, but I did have a very big mouth. So that, helped a little bit, I guess.
That's good.
I am a New Yorker, so.
I was trying to imagine your situation the other week when I was thinking about the interview, and I just kept on thinking about, I don't know if you've seen the first Wonder Woman film with Gal.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, there's this great scene in it where she's been brought into like the government chamber where it's just all men in this big boardroom. Yeah. And because this guy's brought a woman into the chamber, all the men are all like, what is a woman doing in the chamber? Like,
yeah, basically. Yeah. There were some people that felt that way. So, I mean, like I would have to go into the locker rooms to shoot stuff sometimes with a crew. And I'd always, I always had respect for the guys because, it's their changing room. I wouldn't want anybody walking into my locker room,
Yeah.
And I would, I'd always send somebody in and say, they'd be like, hey, Christine has to come in. Is everybody dressed? And I think sometimes they were like, they just didn't care. And they're like, oh, we'll shock Christine. We'll jump out naked and, see what happens. And I was just like, dude, when you get dressed, just, come and do a pre-tape with me, but I'm not playing this game. So, but it was a little much sometimes. Yeah. And there was one wrestler that gave me a really hard time every time I had to go into the locker room.
Right.
So he shall remain nameless.
Fair enough. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Makes you stronger, I guess.
Absolutely. And that's why, as Vince Russo says, you are a vixen that rules.
I know. He's in his eyes, yes.
So what was it that led to your departure from the WWF at the time?
Wow. I just didn't want to be there anymore, honestly. It was just getting to the point of, we had somebody that came in that was a boss, and he was giving me a really hard time. And, I didn't know if I really wanted to stay in the business. And I was just like, it's kind of, I think you get to a crossroads and you're just like, I really just I don't know if this is for me anymore. So,
right.
And I was like 26 or something. I mean, I was like, a baby.
Yeah.
So so I resigned and, I left and, I took a year off, I went to Australia. That's when I went to Australia the first time.
Oh, cool.
So my friend, is Aussie a bad word to use?
No, of course not.
Okay. So my friend married an Aussie. So, so she lived in Australia. She lived in Sydney, and her husband owned like the largest import-export seafood business in Sydney. So the last name is Christie, if you know that. So I went and visited her for about a month and a half, something like that. So wow. I went and stayed in Sydney and, took my picture for the Opera House, all that kind of fun stuff. And then I came back and I called Tony Schiavone, who I had worked at the WWF. And said like, hey, are you guys looking for anybody? And he said, as a matter of fact, we are looking for an international producer. And so Tony got my foot in the door, and he wasn't like, hey, hire her. He got my foot in the door, and I had, did the rest. And they offered me a job, and I started there in November of, I think, 91.
Wow. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope on your trip to Australia that you were swimming in lobster and just enjoying all of that.
I threw a shrimp on the Barbie. That was awesome. And I have a picture.
It's the funniest thing with Crocodile Dundee and all that.
Yeah.
We don't really throw shrimp on the Barbie that much.
I know, but you had to do it though. It was just like, I know. Now I ate a lot. I'm not a big seafood person. I hate fish. So I ate a lot of like shellfish. I like shellfish. So I ate a lot of shrimp and lobster and crab and that kind of stuff. And then the second time I went was with WCW. So we were there for, I guess about a month.
Yeah.
Going to like 3 different places. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely get into that a bit later on.
Yeah.
And how my heart was broken over.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had the show that was supposed to take place in Perth got cancelled, unfortunately. I think low ticket sales because Perth's a smaller city than the others. But oh man.
Yeah.
For me to miss out on that, it would have been the first wrestling show I would have been to. And WCW, went away.
Went away right after that. Yeah.
So
that's for sure.
So okay, you're getting hired by WCW. Is there an interview process? Do you meet with Eric Bischoff? How does that?
Eric wasn't there at that time.
He wasn't there yet, was he? No.
Yeah, okay. No, he wasn't there. I think I interviewed with David Crockett.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I interviewed with David Crockett, and I did interview with David Crockett. And so, and it took forever, they're like, oh, we want you. And then it took like a month for them to hire you, which was just like, hurry up, I need to get there. So I interviewed with probably about 2 or 3 people, and you always do an interview with HR, so whatever. And then they hired me, and I literally moved to Atlanta with, I think all my clothes, and then I got there and I bought a bed, and that was pretty much all that was in my apartment. So
awesome.
And I started to acquire furniture after that. So I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture, so that was good.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, okay, once the interview process is over, could you tell me about your first day on the job there and what your usual day-to-day duties would be in WCW?
Well, my first day, I remember I walked over the air bridge into the CNN Center, and it was just kind of one of those moments where you're like, I did it, like I've arrived, You kind of felt like that. So I remember walking on that, and our offices were in the North Tower, but we also had one downstairs. That's where our production was. So I can't really remember my first day. The only thing I remember is standing on that little, that little level that goes around and thinking like, I did it, so that was kind of cool. Day to day, like I was in charge of international programming. So I dealt a lot with the person, I think it was Sharon Sadella at that time, was with, and what was the other guy's name? He was so awesome. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, I had to, make sure contracts were being fulfilled properly, because certain countries don't allow certain kinds of like violence, like UK doesn't want anything outside the ring. So I'd repackage a show, and I'd have to make sure that anything that was outside the ring was not there, because they wouldn't take it. And those were like $1 million contracts. International made really a lot of money. They made a bank for the company. So, basically I would spend the day, like I'd go into the edit suite. I had a 7 a.m. edit, or I had a 4 o'clock edit that went to like 2 a.m, depending.
Wow.
It depends on whether I worked the day or night for that. I would log tapes. I would do interviews in this little minuscule yucky studio we had. That was like, it was like a piece of the pie. That's what it looked like. It was so random, but anyway, yeah. And, I mean, you went and had lunch out in the CNN Center in the food court. And you had the crazy people that knocked on the door wondering if the wrestlers all lived in bunk beds in there, which like, hello, they have houses, people. So, just stuff like that. And actually being in the CNN Center was kind of cool because, sorry, my dog is yelling at me. Being in the CNN Center was kind of cool because, you bumped into so many people like Jesse Jackson, Jimmy Carter, what's his name? Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. That was kind of cool. Like, wow. And I'm like really bad. Like I'm always like looking down and doing stuff and not paying attention. And by doing that, I literally bumped smack into Jesse Jackson with the Secret Service. I mean, like bang into him. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I look up and it's Jesse Jackson. I'm like, oh my God. So, and then one of the security guards, I was in at like 6:30 in the morning. And one of the security guards who knew me said, Christine, come and stand over here. And I stood there and I'm like, why am I standing here? And he goes, just wait for it. And Jimmy Carter walked in and he said, hello, Mr. Carter. And he was like, hello. And he said to me, he goes, hello, how are you doing today? And I was like, oh my God, so that was kind of cool. So there was a lot of stuff going on in the CNN Center. So it was kind of a neat little thing. And at that time they had like a sunken part of it. And there was like a talk show that would go on. And so there was all kinds of wacky stuff going on. Wow. So you were kind of in the midst of it. Yeah. So it was, it was kind of fun. And then I think I was there probably 2 months and I started going on the road. So, doing like, flooring backstage and, doing pre-tape, stuff like that. So,
wow. That's quite the situation to be thrusted into.
Yes, always. It's a sink or swim job,
I know in the early 90s with WCW, this isn't in my questions, but it dawned on me just now. I know that there was a lot of changes in who was in charge. For a little while, this person would be in charge, and then someone else would take over. Or long before Eric Bischoff came into the fray, did you feel that sense of turmoil going on in the company when it came to who was in charge up top at the time?
Honestly, I felt more of that turmoil at WWF.
Right.
So, I mean, literally, I have to say, I would literally walk into WWF every day and be like, it's today the day I'm going to be fired. That's the way I felt. So that it was just kind of a tough, I have to say one thing about WWE really taught me a lot of things. They gave me a lot of good habits production wise. And I actually, 9 of my students worked there because I would feed, I'd feed PAs to them. So and they were excellent. And my brother works there. So my brother's worked at WWE for, 16 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a behind the scenes person too. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All in the family.
Well, and then my sister-in-law makes the gear for a lot of the guys for NXT and for, she does, I think it's Raymond, what is it? Raymond Reigns?
Roman Reigns. Yeah.
Roman Reigns. There we go. She does his gear. You can tell I still don't watch wrestling. So, but yeah.
It's fine. Neither do I. only watch the old stuff, the good stuff.
Yeah. So it's so it kind of has become a family business at a fault. So my brother did if you're into cars, you should check out Auto Geek, and you'll see my brother on it with John Cena. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to fast forward to the days of Eric Bischoff first coming in. What were your first impressions of one Eric Bischoff?
God, that's kind of, I never even thought about that, honestly. It was another person. He came in, I guess, we thought, okay, here's another person. They have fresh ideas. He did change a lot of stuff. He spent a lot of money. things changed, obviously. But it was, it was kind of like I don't want to say it was a well-oiled machine, because it wasn't. I would say it was more like, another like changing of the guard again, so it was just, Eric really wasn't, Eric wasn't a person that would come up and be like, hey, here's what we're going to do today. Like he was working with the suits and, doing his thing. So he was really like, he was in the production meetings with us, sometimes and sometimes not. And I think when he left and came back, he actually had sat down and talked to me a couple of times, which I was kind of like, wow, where's this from? And I actually just saw him about a year ago backstage when I was visiting my brother. So right when he was hired by the WWE and then let go. So I saw him right before. And he didn't know who I was at all.
Oh, really?
So I said to him, I was like, hey, Eric. And he was like, hey. And then I said, Christine Johnson, I used to work with you at WCW. Oh my God. Yeah. Whereas I bumped into Bruce Pritchard, who I had worked with 25 years ago. And he literally walked out from behind the pipe and drape. And I saw him and I said, hey, Bruce. And he goes, oh my God, you look exactly the same. He knew exactly who I was. It was hilarious. So it was kind of funny.
Eric's, I don't think Eric's got the best memory sometimes, but I know Bruce definitely has a fantastic memory.
Yeah, Bruce is a nice guy. So it was really good to see him. He came up and gave me a big hug. So it's nice. It's nice when you see people that you've worked with for a long time and they're still, they still remember who you are. So that's good, So.
I wanted to know, during your time in WCW, who your favorite person was to work with, whether if you were trying to shoot interviews, who was a bit of good fun to work with.
Randy Savage was. He was awesome to work with. He was like super just on the ball all the time. He was just, he was just the ultimate professional. And he was just fun, like he would, crack up. Like if I was talking to my mom on the phone in the hallway, he would talk to her on the phone. Just, crazy stuff like that. He was fun to work with. Flair was fun to work with. I'm trying to think of who else. There was a lot of really super nice guys. And then there was, people that were, kind of a pain in the ass to nail down. So, because we were always chasing them like, hey, you have to come and do this interview. It's got to air in the show. And they're like, well, I haven't tanned and I haven't worked out. I'm like, good Lord, like, come on, you sound like worse than a girl. So, and I won't say who said that either. It was very frustrating. But no, there was Road Warriors, they were great to work with. Nasty Boys, and I'd known the Nasty Boys back from WWE and I'd known a lot of the guys from that. Repo Man, he was just, oh my God, every time he saw me, he'd be like, I cannot believe you're not married. He always would say that to me. He's like, you're the nicest girl. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then I remember like the Road Animal and Hawk were, I brought my boyfriend backstage once when we were in Boston and they scared the living shit out of him because, they were walking around backstage and when you're backstage, you don't realize the costuming and everything and their faces painted, you're just like talking to, Mike or Joey or whatever. And so, Mike, Joey's got the spider on his face and, Hawk's got the other like little thing on his face and everything. And they've got the spike shoulder pads on. And I got one to grab them for an interview. And so they're coming with me and they're like, oh, who's that guy? And I said, oh, that's my boyfriend. He's just visiting. And they were like, hold on a minute. And they went running up to him and they're like, she is the nicest girl we have ever met. If you screw with her, we will find you. And I was like, and I was laughing. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, that's kind of sweet. That's nice. And my boyfriend at the time was like, oh my God, that just scared the shit out of me. He was like, I just couldn't believe that happened. So that, stuff like that happened. That was just kind of fun. It was all fun and games. Rick Steiner is another one, great to work with. He's actually my real estate agent right now. I'm looking for a house. So has a really, good real estate agency and in Atlanta now. So, so I mean, there was always the guys that were great to work with, and then always the guys you had to chase around the arena all day trying to get them to cut a 30-second promo.
Yeah.
So it just, it was different.
Understandable, but very sweet of the Road Warriors to act like two big brothers for you. That's
yeah. The Road Warriors and the Nasty Boys were kind of like that. It was kind of funny.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the next question I had, I guess, I wanted to know if you were ever witness to any sort of backstage fights or anything that broke out that was dramatic in that sense. If you have any stories about stuff like that.
Let's see. Well, I mean, there was one time, I think sometimes people start believing, I think there was one fight backstage that somebody went out and cut a promo and they knew that was going to happen. And the person was waiting backstage for the person and kind of like,
I think, is this DDP and Scott Steiner?
Yeah. Can you hold on 1 second? I've got to go. I've just got, hold on 1 sec.
That's cool.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. My dog is she's having a little problem, so I wanted to make sure she was okay. So anyway,
that's okay.
Yes, that was that. So, and we thought, oh my God, are we supposed to have cameras there shooting this? Like, we didn't know if it was real or not. So,
oh my gosh.
So yeah, so that was kind of nuts.
What was DDP thinking?
I don't know.
Not the person.
It was just kind of like, what? Like we didn't know what was going on. So, because sometimes they would tell us what was going to happen and sometimes they didn't. So, we thought like, oh my God, am I missing something? Am I going to get in trouble for this? So anyway, that was kind of crazy.
My face is already hurting from smiling too much. So look, in these questions, there's a lot of just random questions here. I'm sorry it's not following some sort of timeline, but I just, these are the things that I'm interested in. Did you have a party at the Marriott with the wrestlers after the shows? Do you have any stories of partying with the boys? No.
You mean the dungeon? No. I would never do that. No, I mean, like we always, it was like after the, it was after the show, everybody would go down to the bar. And of course there were, there's crazy stories about the bar. So I definitely, crazy stories about me, crazy stories about everybody. So, we did have one camera guy that used to when we had a really bad show, he would get like a tray full of tequila shots and start passing them around to the crew. And then everybody would be like so hungover the next day. It was unbelievable. Actually, Neil used to sing a Jose Cuervo song to it. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was a little. Huh?
Sorry. The next
No. Go ahead.
Was did you notice things with WCW were changing once the AOL Time Warner thing started taking place? Was there anything that you could, that you noticed yourself behind the scenes with that?
Sure. Well, that was the second buyout that we'd gone through. So, Time Warner bought us first, and then AOL did. AOL decided that we were not something that they wanted in their, we were not something they wanted to acquire. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So they, we were under the impression that they thought we were pretty lowbrow and like, oh, we don't want to have wrestling. even though we were the highest rated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were the highest rated show on TNT and TBS. So that was made very apparent up front that they did not like us. So that was a little concerning because, because we all worked very hard and we all worked very long hours and we sacrificed a lot of our lives to, to do what we were doing. And I'm not saying like we sacrificed our lives, like we're like, oh, I'm going to give this up. But, there was a lot of stuff that we, it was an all encompassing kind of job. I mean, you were on the clock 24/7. I mean, somebody paid you, or like, that's when you actually had pagers, or they'd be calling you, like you need to come and do this, or you need to do this for tomorrow. So there was never any downtime really. And it affected a lot of stuff. It affected my relationship with my family because, that's all I ever talked about. And I was very like, about the whole thing. And I traveled, 3 to 4 days a week. And, so it was, and there was a lot of stuff going on. Some of the wrestlers give you a hard time, it just, there was a lot of stuff that went on that was, not comfortable for me sometimes. And I'm sure that people will be like, oh, well, she encouraged it, but, just kind of things that were just discouraging and things that were, I don't know, like I said, you gave up your life for this place. So when AOL came in and was saying, basically that we sucked and, we don't want this kind of programming. We don't want this to be associated with us. Yeah, there was a big change. And, it was very sad. So that was not something I was very happy about, but we had already gone through a buyout. So I really didn't think anything was going to happen until they said, we were actually in Australia. We were in Brisbane and they were like, we're selling you.
Oh my gosh. And
we were like, excuse me. And they called us all into a room and told us they're selling WCW. So, so that was, that was something that we were not really, had no control over, and, you feel helpless. And so that was not really the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be quite stressful.
Yeah.
How did you feel when Eric Bischoff was, I guess, relieved of his duties in 1999 at the time? He had done so well with what he had there and the turmoil with everything going on. But at this point, he's leaving. How did you feel about that change in 1999?
I don't know if we had any feelings about it. It was just pretty much, going crazy at that point. He left, and then, I think booking, like whoever was booking the show, they kind of took over, and it was just kind of, I mean, I remember it being a bit, the booking committee. So, I really didn't, I mean, it's things that affected us, but at the same point, I wasn't like, I'm sure Neil could tell you much more about that than I could. I didn't really pay attention to that stuff. I had a job to do, and that's the job I did. So,
yeah. So Vince Russo eventually comes in I believe, October of 1999. Obviously, this is quite a big change in the way that the TV show is being, I guess, put together. A lot more backstage stuff being recorded, crash TV, as Vince likes to call it. How did you adapt to the way Vince Russo did things, and what did you think? Because a lot of people talk badly of what he did, but I watched that whole 3 months he was there for the first bit, and I thought everything was pretty good. But a lot of people have different
I thought it was good. I worked really well with Vince. He had, I don't know, he had a lot of confidence in me, which was nice. So I liked the fact that there was new energy being breathed into it. It was kind of cool, that we actually had there was like a direction that we were going in. I got along with him very well. I always had. I never really had a problem with him. I know a lot of other people did, but I don't know, maybe we're both from New York. I have no idea, you know? So it was, you know, he and I would talk after shows sometimes. You know, he was a good communicator. I know the writers did change things a lot. And so that made our, you know, job a little hard sometimes, but, I don't know. I mean, he was there. It was, you know, he was there and then he was gone. So
Yeah, it didn't really, it just, to me, it just didn't feel like it was enough time to.
yeah, I was kind of sad when he left, but you know, Ed stayed on for a while after that. And, you know, everything kind of fell on him for a while. So it was very, I don't know. It was a different time, you know, that's when everything started to unravel, I think, you know, and there were times over the 10 years that, you know, we had those things, they would, you know, things would just start to come apart, you know? So, but I think that was the time when, you know, after Vince left and everything, I think attendance started going down and we were, you know, killing lights on upper tiers so that when we were shooting it, you couldn't see that there were no, you know, asses in the seats basically. And,
Right.
yeah, so that was kind of a little discouraging after a while. And, you know, we saw that, you know, we were going to like really kind of, I don't want to say crappy towns because, you know, people live there, but we were going to smaller towns and we weren't getting any kind of a pull. So that was
Yeah.
kind of that got a little discouraging. And I think that's when, you know, that was right around the whole AOL thing. So I think they were like, you know, we're pulling the plug on this. So, you know, that kind of was their justification of,
Right.
you know, not that that was the way we were making money. We were making money off of ad sales. So,
Yeah.
but, you know, they were not getting big crowds. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I remember watching some of the stuff in 2000 and thinking like, they used to like do the Georgia Dome for a Nitro, not even a
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly.
Only like a year prior, and now it seems like they're in these towns that you never really heard the name of before. I mean, this is coming from an Australian, so I only really knew the capital cities type thing.
Sure.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you about when Eric comes back and Vince comes back. Obviously, those two were like oil and water, and they didn't end up liking each other, which is such a shame. But were you witness to any of that kind of drama between those two? And did Vince say anything to you about how he was feeling, or Eric to you?
No. Eric never talked to me. So okay. That was, you know, unless it was to, you know, unless I did something wrong. And then I would hear through somebody else. So I think the only notes I ever got from him was my crowd bed was too low. And so I had to add, you know, I had to sweeten the show to make it sound like there were more people there. So, but as far as Vince, I mean, that's not something Vince would have confided in me. You know, Vince and I worked on we were on a professional basis, you know, doing, you know, like, here's his vision of the show. And I had to, you know, make that come true. So, you know, you know, whatever it was, you know, whether we were painting a school bus to look like the Partridge Family or whatever we were doing, that was, you know, that was really kind of my role in the whole thing is, you know, I had to, you know, shoot pre-tapes backstage with 3 or 4 different producers. I did backstage stuff for Nitro, and then the Nitro producer did the backstage stuff for me while I was in the truck. So, you know, we kind of worked together. So, you know, so we really didn't, you know, the only time we really would talk to Vince is if we had, you know, I mean, I talked to him about the show and, hey, how are you doing? That kind of stuff. But, you know, as far as like, you know, work things go, I mean, there was we all knew that there was, you know, tension.
Yeah.
It was obvious, but that was not something that we're like, hey, I hate his guts. Yeah, I hate his guts too. Like, that's not what you heard at all, ever. So, you know, maybe some people did, but I never heard that at all. So,
right. Well, that brings me to my next point. I just wanted to know from your perspective what you thought about what happened at Bash at the Beach 2000 with Hulk and Eric and Vince and that whole dramatic scenario. And
was that the one with Jeff Jarrett laying in the ring?
yeah.
Saying pin me. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh man, that was a work.
Yeah.
From what I understand. Yeah. So I didn't know that when that was happening. So yeah, that was that was not they didn't kind of tell us what was going on in the truck. So I had, I timed out the show. So I had timed out that show, and thank God it was a pay-per-view and not a Nitro or Thunder, because we would have had a lot of dead air. But we thought that, Jeff was going over in that, and he didn't, and then he walked out and was like, pin me. And we were like, what the hell is going on? So that was not something that I was privy to, which I kind of wish I had been. So I could have timed that match better, but I think they ran, I think they ran like 5 or 6 minutes short. So on that, so, and then it was just over, and we were like, what the hell just happened there? So, there were times that stuff like that happened that we were not privy to what was going on. I don't know why, but yeah. So that, like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to go tell? It's my job. So, but yeah, that was interesting.
So I know you've told about how you found out that they wanted to sell WCW, but when did you find out WCW was actually sold to the WWF?
When they called us into the power plant and told us.
Right. Okay.
And they shut off all our computers and all our phones and told us to go with the HR rep and go pack up our office and bye. Thanks a lot. See you later. Literally. That
sucks so bad.
Yeah. So we walked into work that day not knowing that we were all being let go. So.
Right. Were you at the final WCW Nitro?
No, I asked not to be there. I was supposed to be, and I asked Craig if I could just not go. I'm not very good with, I moved a lot my whole life, so I'm not very good at saying goodbye to people. I'm not very good at, letting go of people. And that to me that was a full circle moment for me, and I just really did not want to be there to see, I don't know, the devastation of what was going on. Yeah. So that to me was, do I regret not going? No, not really, because there was they had WWF there, and those were all people I had worked with before. And I just really, to me, it was like I was a failure. So I really didn't want to, I didn't want to be there to see it, all come down, something that I had, I don't want to say, something that had consumed my life for 10 years. So that to me would have been just devastating. So I asked if I had to go, and they said no. And I said, good, I don't want to go then. Don't book me on it. So I stayed home for that one. It's probably the first Monday I had off in a really long time. So.
Well, when I asked Neil about it, he got very upset. And, it's nearly 20 years to the day of the final Nitro as well. So, it's interesting to me that all this time can pass by, but it still can hit a chord with you guys, because
it was, that was our family. We spent more time with people in our crew, and people and we traveled with them, and we lived with them in hotels, and we saw the best of each other and the worst of each other. And no matter what, I think it was like a love-hate relationship. It was like a big dysfunctional family. So, is that, and that's not something any of us wanted to lose. That was so, like after we were all let go, we all met at a bar, and, everybody was crying and, taking pictures, and, one of our guys was twirling a flamethrower out in the parking lot. I don't know what was going on with that, but, but we were all, bonded together by this thing that we had created. And it was just, it was devastating. It was like hitting a brick wall, and I didn't even know who I was after that, because, my job defined me, which was a lesson I learned not to do that. So that job was all consuming. So when I hit the wall, I hit it pretty hard. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Quite frankly, I was, I got a year's severance, and I unfortunately was looking for a job and was in 11. So that changed my life. So I lost my cousin in one of the towers. So that was to me was, I was supposed to be flying home. I was actually packing my bag to get on a plane. So I had a plane ticket with 9/11 on it. And I was about to leave, and the first tower got hit, and then the second tower got hit. And we found out that my cousin was in the first tower, and she obviously did not make it out. So that was kind of a turning point for me. And that was when I went back. I decided to go back to school and get my master's, and then I started teaching. And actually, I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm working on another master's right now. So because I'm writing a book now. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it'll be a fictional account. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about what happened. And obviously, you went back to school and you studied some more. When did you figure out what you wanted to do after WCW, and what it was specifically, going to teaching? Was that first thing that came to mind eventually?
No. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Are you kidding me? I have no idea. I want to write, and I write every day now, and I turn in pages, and I'm working on an MFA in creative writing, which is something I've always wanted to do. That's kind of like one of the only things I haven't done. So there's two things I haven't done in my life that one of them is I want to write my book, and I want to see it in a bookstore. I don't care if it's a good book if it's a popular book or not. I just want to see it in a bookstore. Yeah. I haven't gotten to do that yet. So that's what I'm working on now. Teaching was, I taught and I was tenured at State University of New York at Plattsburgh. Shout out to all my kids there, because I absolutely loved them. They were the best. I absolutely was heartbroken when I left there. But I had to kind of move on. But I still have kids from 20 years ago that I taught that still keep in touch with me. And I have 9 kids that work for WWE, and they're doing really, really well. So I'm glad I could give back to an industry that gave me so much.
That's cool.
So that was a good thing. But as to what I want to do, who knows? I'd like to be rich and not have to work. That would be awesome.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Maybe I won the lottery. I haven't checked my lottery ticket today, so who knows?
Well, I hope so. And if you do, don't forget your favorite Australian over here.
Yeah. I'll buy a flat in Paris and a villa in Tuscany. I'll be good. So that'll be awesome.
Sounds great. So I had a couple of random questions before I get to the tail end here. And I'm just on the search for somebody that knows at least something about these things.
Okay.
I wanted to know, did you ever go to the Nitro Grill?
I did go to the Nitro Grill. It was in that hideous casino place. I actually had to shoot a promo there with about, I think it was like 300 people. So I was up in front of 300 people trying to tell them what to do once the cameras rolled. So that was, did I eat there? No. That was in, what is the name of, it's the hotel in Las Vegas that looks like a castle. It was hideous. Anyway, I can't remember what the name of it was, but anyway, I don't think the Nitro Grill lasted that long. So that was the
Excalibur Hotel and Casino.
Excalibur, yes, blah. Yeah, I didn't like that place. But yeah, I went and shot in there. So I have been in the Nitro Grill.
So you didn't indulge in a Booker T-bone steak or a gold.
No, I did not. No, I didn't have time. I was working, of course, as usual. So it was like in and out, shoot this and get out. So yeah, and then I think I went and saw Cirque du Soleil or something. I don't know.
Cool.
You know, we would all go see like shows there. So
that's good.
so now you've met somebody that went to the Nitro Girl.
Okay, that's good. I wanted to also note again, I've Googled this. No one's told their personal story of it. I doubt you're a part of it, but do you know what happened or what was going on with the WCW Bruise Cruise and what would go on the ship? And
oh, yeah, I never was on the Bruce Cruise. Did you ask Neil that? I thought he went on that.
I think I might have forgot to ask him.
You need to ask Neil that. I'm pretty sure Neil went on the Bruce Cruise.
Really?
I think I came in. That was like right around the time I was hired. I want to say.
I think they did one in like 98, I think.
Oh, so never mind. So I was there. I never did that. That wasn't my my thing. Like I did international, then I did one of our shows. I did main event, and then after that I started doing producing the pay-per-views. And then after that, I was doing special projects. So I did like all the Goldberg promos. I did all those. So I was doing special projects like that. And then I started producing Thunder. So I never really they would send me on location to do certain things, like to do certain packages, but Bruise Cruise was not one of them. Thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just under the impression it probably was.
I would not want to be stuck on a cruise ship with a bunch of wrestlers.
I can imagine it wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah.
So could you tell me a little bit about your experience in Australia when you came to our country with WCW?
Yeah. So I think we went to Brisbane first, and we saw Rupert Murdoch's yacht parked outside of the hotel, which was kind of cool. We went to Brisbane. We had massive crowds in Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. So my friend was still living in Australia at the time. So she came and they did a lot of nice stuff for us. They had parties for us. They had parties on the roof of the hotel for us. They had a party at a bar for us. It was very cool. The promotion that was helping us was very cool. And we really got to do a lot of, we had some downtime, so we got to do sightseeing but the crowds were unbelievable. I mean, they were chanting, "You're a wanker," which was awesome. And, I always remember that, again, I was the only girl backstage. The local, the local guys did not like that. And I asked one of the local guys that I had kind of been talking to and chatting with. And I said, why is, I'm not seeing any women backstage. I said, are there no women that work in that? He goes, no, not really. So that was kind of shocking. It was a little like 1950s. I don't know. I was kind of like, so that was strange. But we had a great time. I mean, I love Australia so much. I'm so grateful I got to go there twice. And I wish I could have spent more time in Brisbane. That was such a beautiful place. And I think it was Brisbane that we did all the stuff near where they do the US Open or not the US Open, one of the tennis matches. I can't remember. Yeah. I think it was around, is it in Brisbane?
It might be.
It was either in Brisbane or Sydney. I can't remember, but we did, it was like wherever the big tennis complex where they do a lot of the, the tennis matches are. We were in that facility. But I mean, the fans were just crazy. They were awesome.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of fun there. So I was producing the shows there because we had to have two producers in the truck because we were going live. So it was being bounced off a satellite. So it was really, it got a little hectic, a little crazy. So, but it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I can imagine Australia would have been just at the time. I don't think any wrestling company had been to Australia since the 80s. So wrestling was huge in like late.
Yeah. Oh, we were sold out. We were sold out everywhere. So I think we did two shows in Sydney, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it was really, we all had so much fun and great wine. And, it was just amazing. No Vegemite though. Blech.
Oh no, you're not a fan?
Oh no. Oh
I
my
love it.
gosh.
I lay it on
No.
real thick on my bread too. Really.
And the meat, what is it? The meat pies? Is that the other thing? The
Yeah,
meat pies?
you like a
Oh
meat
my
pie?
God. Those are gross.
Oh
Those are
no.
gross. Great seafood though. You have great seafood. Meat pies I can do without. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, and once again, it's very unfortunate that our show in Perth got cancelled. I guess we just didn't.
I'm sorry about that. That's so
okay.
sad.
That's okay. I just received an apology from somebody from WCW for not coming to see me in Perth.
Oh,
My favorite is Kevin Nash. I wanted to see Kevin Nash. I wanted to see.
I know Kevin Nash. Yep.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
I saw him about 3 years. I think it was about 3 years ago. So
really,
yeah, when I was backstage with my brother again. So
cool.
That's the only time I get to see my brother. It's like if he's whatever town I'm in, then if he's going there, then I go and see him for a couple of hours backstage, and because he's my baby brother, and I shouldn't call my baby brother. He's like 47 years old or 46 years old. So it's like whatever. But so
so we're getting to the tail end here, Christine. Okay. I want to know what you miss most about WCW.
I miss the people. I really miss the people a lot. Some of us have kept in touch, but I've lost touch with the majority of the people. But those people know you and have been in the same situation as you, so it's very relatable. And we were kind of, like I said, a big dysfunctional family. So we all genuinely loved each other, and I think we all genuinely hated each other at times as well. But we always came together. We always produced a great product. And I think that, when you travel with people that see the best of you and the worst of you and still, give you a hug every time they see you and tell you they love you, that's like the best feeling in the world. So there was a lot of unconditional love, I guess, going around. So, and it's funny, if you talk to anybody that was on that crew, they all say the same thing. They all say it was, that was a family. That was the best place I ever worked. Just because, we all genuinely, I think, cared about each other. So it was, it was nice. So that's the one thing I miss the most.
That's cool. And on the other side of the coin, what don't you miss about WCW?
I do miss the money too. I was making crazy money. What don't I miss? I don't know. I guess the long hours, I do miss the traveling quite a bit. I really liked traveling all over the place. I don't know. There's so many things that you love and that you're like, nah, I could do without that. But, like I could do without chasing people around to get them for interviews, getting yelled at for no reason, not getting told I did a good job, but TV is a thankless business anyway. So I always tell my kids, reach around, pat yourself on the back, because that's the only person that's going to do it. So TV is not is not that way. TV is a very huggy business and that kind of stuff. But, it's very few and far between that you get praise for something you've done. So,
but I know that feeling.
But you're working 52 weeks a year, they can't be like, oh, that was so great. That was so great. That was so, so,
do you have any regrets of your time in the wrestling business?
No, I'm a big person. If anybody says, hey, do you regret anything you've done? Of course, everybody's like, God, I wish I hadn't done that, but I always kind of look at it like, if I hadn't done those things, then I wouldn't be the person I am today. So do I regret anything? No, I don't. Maybe, no, I really can't say I do. I had really great times there and really horrible times there. And I really kind of wouldn't change anything because, I came out on the other end, and, I kind of, I don't know, you kind of see how tough you are and that kind of stuff. So no, I don't regret anything. I'd do it all over again if I could.
That's awesome, Christine. That's
I definitely would. Yeah, as long as I can do it with the same people. So.
To end the show, Christine, we do this segment called 5-Second Frenzy. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. It's just some stuff to get to know about you and other things that you like in life, aside from wrestling, except for one question. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Christine Johnson, 5-Second Frenzy. Your favorite wrestler?
Randy Savage.
Thought so. Your favorite book?
The Great Gatsby.
Nice. Your favorite TV show?
Ooh, that's hard. There's so many I like. I'm watching Vikings now, so I'll say Vikings and Law and Order and Sex and the City.
Very good. Very good. Sex and the City is fantastic. And to any males out there, trust me, it is entertaining.
Love that show.
It's not just for girls. I've seen every episode. It's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Your favorite film?
Favorite film? Wow. God, got me. I watch so many films. Let's say favorite musical would be Hello, Dolly. I've watched that since I was a little girl. Favorite Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, cool.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to watch The Wizard of Oz, rewind the tape to the beginning and watch it again. That's how much I love it.
Yeah, I love The Wizard of Oz. It's such a great film. It's so much fun to watch. But yeah, I watch it every Christmas.
Cool. Your favorite musical artist?
My favorite musical artist. Well, right now I'm like getting back to my I guess jazz roots, Chet Baker. He's kind of inspiring me with my writing. So I listen to him. Do you know him?
No, I don't, but I do love jazz.
Oh, let me show you. I got to show you because he's so awesome. He's an old. You got to like. Do you like if you like trumpet? Because look, I got back into vinyl again. Oh my God. Chet Baker.
Okay, cool.
Oh man, you got to like check that out.
I will.
That's awesome. Yes, but I also like a lot of rap. I like Little John. I like Ice-T. I like old rap. It's kind of fun. I like Cardi B and who else? I got to see Elton John in concert twice. That was fun. So
excellent. Yeah, I've seen Elton.
Yes, he's very, very good. I cried when he first started playing, I was like, oh my God. So that was awesome.
Your favorite food?
My favorite food. Oh God, you're hitting me with all these. Curry.
Nice.
I like curry.
Your favorite place to eat on the road?
No Fern restaurants. There was I can't remember, Sabatino's, I think, in Baltimore. It was a great, I think that's what the name of it was. It was a great Italian restaurant. Like we would go there all the time. Like you walk in and you could just smell garlic. That's all you smelled. It was awesome. So that's a good place. I like going there. And I'd have to say there was a restaurant in New York I used to go to, Bobby Flay's. But it's closed now, so I was kind of sad. But I think there's one open in the Caribbean, but I haven't been there yet. So
fair enough. Your favorite alcoholic beverage?
I would say champagne, French champagne, and California, but not bad champagne because cheap champagne gives you a hangover. So not that. Yep. So yeah, so like Moet Chandon. Perfect.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. They make the best ones.
They are the best. Yes. Absolutely.
Have you tried Oyster Bay?
Yes. Love Oyster Bay. Yeah. One of my go-tos, actually. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Definitely.
So usually on the show, we mostly interview men. We've had one girl, the daughter of the British Bulldog. So this question usually gets some very interesting answers, but you're a fan of Sex and the City, so I might still get an interesting answer here. Your favorite male body part?
My favorite hands, actually, guys' hands.
Really?
I always look at a guy's hands, always. And if he has strong hands, I'm like, oh, that's so good. But if he has little carny hands, like, ew, no. No.
What about hands like mine? I mean, I could be a good.
You have nice hands, right?
I could
You
be
have
a
nice
good
hands.
pianist. I think I've got.
Yes. You have, like my fiance has really nice hands. I like his hands. Hands and eyes are what I look at all the time.
Very
that tells
nice.
you a lot. Yeah,
that's great. And finally, Christine, the last question is my favorite question in 5 Second Frenzy.
Okay.
Your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Every time.
I say it quite a bit. Like my mouth has been very clean. I'm very proud of myself. So.
Well, I'm glad that we at least got one curse word in there at the end.
Yes.
Well, Christine Johnson, I want to thank you so much for having a conversation with me. So much fun. You are hilarious. I just really enjoyed your insight on things, and you should be so proud of everything that you did in wrestling and everything else you've done. You've helped so many people reach their goals in life, and I just hope that you're proud of everything that you've done. And from Perth, Western Australia, I want to let you know that I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was great talking too. Hopefully we'll do it again.
Excellent. Well, maybe I could get a little a show going with you and Neil, and maybe a couple of other people. That might be fun.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you again, Christine. And thank you everyone out there for watching here on the WZWA Network. We will see you next time. Thank you.